Hey guys, Christian Maddox PGA here, and we got an emergency podcast, episode, talk, whatever you want to call it. I'm driving to work, but just wanted to get these thoughts off of my chest. And this is concerning just the state of the global game of golf right now, and, you know, more specifically, we're going to talk about what the PGA Tour is doing. I personally think they're shooting themselves in the foot and possibly setting themselves up to lose their, top tour in the world status. I think that LIV and what the World Tour, DP World Tour are doing right now is absolutely fantastic for the game of golf, and it's a shame that it didn't happen earlier, but I'm glad we're at this point now, and we'll break that down a little bit more in depth when we get to it. But let's talk about the changes coming to the PGA Tour this next season. I was fortunate enough to read through, or not fortunate enough, but I was fortunate enough to have the time to quickly read through the changes. I saw some other stuff on X or Twitter. Big follower of Monday Qualifier Info, and he's very outspoken about these changes, as, he and other people should have been. The changes are BS. So basically, to break it down, don't take this as gospel, but just what I got of it. You got fewer players retaining their cards. So we go from, currently 125 players get full status. And next year it's going down to 100, which, the PGA Tour has never been a closed shop. Golf, while, a quote unquote elitist sport, at times, or seen that way at times, pro golf has always been a meritocracy, and we're going away from that now. It's so sad, but once LIV came along, the PGA Tour is going away from the stories, the reasons that we watch the tour. You see it a lot on Monday Qualifier Info, right? They're getting real big thing. They're getting rid of, a lot of the Monday qualifiers, which are so sad because that's some of the best stories. I mean, one of the reasons people love and play golf, not even professional golf, but play golf period, is because every once in a while, maybe once around, they hit a shot that's as good as the pros. And everybody loves to be able to do that. And I think one of the allures of playing professional golf is you're only one good week away. You Monday in and have a life-changing week, and you could be on tour. Take a look at Corey Connors. And those stories are part of what makes the tour so great. I'm glad I waited a day or two to make this video, because this is Monday, the 26th. And yesterday was, today's Tuesday the 26th. 2 days ago was Sunday the 24th. And Joel Dahman shoots 64 stones in his final round after making the cut on the number at the RSM to retain his full card by a stroke, moving from 127 to
trying to get some work done right now.
124. I mean, absolutely unbelievable story. So many people following it. Just a prime example, first weekend right there of something that would be gone, because, there's only 100 players retaining their full cards next year. It's really poor. The meritocracy in golf is going by the wayside. And don't get me wrong, it's a double-edged sword, especially with, the PGA Tour. I love the PGA Tour University. There's no doubt there's a way that we had to figure out how to get the top college guys straight into the pro game. Losing out on star power. I mean, people deserve to be there. They're some of the best players in the world. I completely get it. But, when you're changing Q school to give, fewer cards out and make it harder to qualify, and you're taking away sponsors exemptions, and you're taking away Monday qualifiers. I mean, it's maybe, the Q school one is different, but the Monday qualifier, that's 3 or 4 spots a week that could potentially turn into, life-changing, week-changing, tournament-changing stories every week. That you're just missing out on. There's zero reason in my mind to not have Monday qualifiers at almost every tournament. And so that by the tour is just very poor on their part. No sugarcoating it. I love the PGA Tour U, but with no Monday qualifiers, with less cards being retained, with it harder to qualify through Q school, and they're cutting down from top 10 go to PGA Tour to top 5, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I believe. I mean, it's getting more and more to be a closed shop, and I think that's not what professional golf should be, and that is a shame, and shame on the tour for that. That sucks. You're losing stories. You're losing ways for people to get promoted, to see new stars, new people grow, and not just people that played D1 college golf and were all Americans. The sport needs those players, but the sport also needs typical golf storylines that we've seen the last 30-40 years, and the Ryan Gerards, the Corey Connors. I mean, Corey Connors Mondayed onto a President's Cup team, or Mondayed into the Masters, and makes a President's Cup team eventually. One of the top players in the world. Like, unbelievable story gone for no reason. And then the whole, I think that what the tour needed to do with LIV when they weren't going to merge is they needed to lean into all the stories, to not be a closed shop. And in my opinion, it feels like they're doing the exact opposite, and they're shooting themselves in the foot. I don't want to see more closed events. I don't want to see more limited field events. That's not, I don't know, I'm sure some people like that, but I like seeing everybody there. I like seeing 144 dudes. I like seeing, names that you don't see, names that you don't know. Gives people, guys to root for. Gives great stories. It's a shame. It's a shame that the tour is going that way. And now, getting into the global game of golf. And this is kind of where it segues, right? The tour is just floundering, shooting themselves in the foot. Apparently, they're coming together to make an alliance with LIV, or they're trying to unite and figure it out. And here's the thing: the DP World Tour beat you to it. So this last week, 2 weeks, all the big name players, the European stars, all the American guys that still want to play other events besides LIV, they all paid whatever week fine it was and got their membership back on the European Tour, as they should. The European Tour is a fantastic circuit. I don't want to say better than the PGA Tour, but I mean, you look at some of the courses they play, some of the events they hold. All of the national opens are fantastic, playing places like Valderrama, Crans de Sur. I mean, just fantastic golf courses week in, week out. All the British stuff. I mean, you really, it's quality. The money hasn't got caught up yet with the PGA Tour, but you still make a heck of a lot of money playing professional golf, especially if you're winning. And the big thing for LIV, right? It provides people more places to play, keep their game tuned up for more than 12 places a year, 12 tournaments a year at LIV. It provides huge, massive world ranking points. So now that they can easily qualify, get into majors, play regular events, it allows the LIV golfers everything that they wanted and needed to do. And I think that the World Tour, DP World Tour, was tired of being basically a Korn Ferry Tour number 2 for the PGA Tour. And I think it was incredibly smart for them to jump on it. And to be quite honest with you, if I was LIV, there's no way I'd merge right now. I mean, you're in line with the DP World Tour, which technically the DP World Tour and PGA Tour have a strategic alliance, whatever that means. But I mean, let's be honest, the DP World Tour has been kind of getting, the blunt end of that one for a long time. And if I was them, to restore their circuit, to restore the global game of golf, so smart to let the LIV guys back in. You bring back your captains. You got people like Poulter, Stenson, that hey, maybe we serve as a vice captain again, and then we can get back that captaincy that we missed when everybody overreacted a few years ago. Like, this is where I think the game of golf could have benefited or healed from the past year. Not seeing the LIV guys in majors. If they would have played on the European Tour, and this would have been possible. Again, I don't know who's really to blame for holding that up, but I mean, I'm so glad you get to see that now. You basically see in LIV in the European Tour, which is great. If you want to go play that circuit and go play LIV, fantastic. You can still qualify for your majors, get fantastic golf in, travel the world. have that freedom. And if you're loyal to the tour, you get everything that you want with the tour. I mean, if you're a player, right? It sounds like the players are pushing for more closed shop. You get paid more. You're going to get access to all the majors. You don't have to see the live guys if you don't want to. You can still go, we'll get the best players at, the top 4 to 5 tournaments a year. You'll have some crossover on the DP World Tour. And then live and PGA Tour can coexist and not have to go, kind of at each other throat for throat. I think that aligning with the DP World Tour gives live, an air of credibility. And like I said, live, the PGA Tour has lost the bargaining chip, in my opinion. I'm sure, everybody wants to see the best players in the world play together week in, week out, right? I don't think with live players being able to get world ranking points and do everything with the European Tour, I don't see a reason for them, quite honestly, to be together. And I think that the PGA Tour is making a worse product comparatively to what they were doing before. And the PGA Tour doesn't really bring anything to the table for live anymore. This European Tour and live alliances, they're going to continue to work hand in hand. I don't see what, unless everybody comes together and everybody gets richer, I don't really see a point for them to get all together besides, the people that would like to say they want to see the best players in the world play together, which I do, but, I definitely do. But I think that money talks, and, if you can get world ranking points and, have your cake and eat it too, I don't know if Liv's going to be chomping at the bit to try to, form that alliance anymore. Liv's kind of done their job. They survived, excelled long enough to stay alive and kind of feed into the ecosystem and find their place, especially with the DP World Tour. I'm not a Liv fanboy. I'm just unbiased pointing out, from my view of the golf game. So, yeah, I mean, the tour's ineptitude to run their own tour and, make the most out of what they have, and their unwillingness to come get a deal done to better their product. I think you're starting to see it right now. I think that, the DP World Tour is taking a huge advantage and now stands to gain so much more. Them and Liv stand to gain more than the PGA Tour does. And I think that's a really bad spot for the tour to be in. Plus, you don't have those stories anymore that, the Monday qualifiers, Liv is completely closed circuit. Good for them, right? That's their whole thing. It's handpicked F1 style, format, which is great. F1's fantastic, right? But I think everybody in Formula One can probably, or everybody in the Formula One field can probably agree that maybe necessarily the top 20 drivers in the world aren't in Formula One. Like, yes, there's a ton of the top drivers. I mean, a few of the top drivers in the world are for sure in Formula One. But I mean, with how closed of a circuit it is, you have no idea of finding out. You look at guys that like Colapinto. You look at F2 champions like Drugovic. I mean, guy could be rapid. Guy could be so fast. But dude won the F2 title and then hasn't got a shot. So I mean, and it's such a shame. But I mean, it's sort of almost what golf is kind of turning into. I mean, the common man used to be able to go up and play 18 holes, and if he was the best player for 18 holes, he would go and tee it up on tour that week. And that's not necessarily how it is anymore. Especially with the I haven't even gotten into how the Korn Ferry's changing and if anything's going there, but it's obviously going to be harder to get promoted from the Korn Ferry Tour with that too. Yeah, I mean, I hate to talk in circles, but I don't see a lot good, and especially with the development of Liv and the DP World Tour, I don't think that they really have a reason to kind of come together anymore. And I think you're going to have Liv and the DP World Tour versus the PGA Tour and their TGL, and we'll see whatever that remains to be. But at this point in time, with them being able to play the DP World Tour and get all of those world ranking points and money, circuit exemptions, I mean the whole 9 yards, more events to play than 12 tournaments a year, and now being ostracized globally in the game of golf, I think there's no reason for LIV to try to bend over backwards and try to deal with the PGA Tour's lack of a lot of things, lack of urgency, lack of taking them seriously. And I think that the DP World Tour and LIV could really solidify their place in the game of golf for the foreseeable future, the next 50 years. If LIV grows and the DP World Tour grows, and it's the DP World Tour supporting LIV and not the Asian Tour, maybe they come together or whatever, and you have a truly global circuit of golf feeding LIV, you probably will just see the PGA Tour being American professional golf, and that could be fantastic. You could see things like the Ryder Cup, where you see a lot of Europeans, you see Europeans versus Americans that you don't see all the time because they don't play on the same tours. I mean, that was one of the great things about the Ryder Cup back in the day. And I think it arguably makes the Ryder Cup better and, more watchable for some people. But time will tell. But I think really that the tour needs to figure out a way to, pull its head out of its and get its act together a little bit. Lean in, not to spew Monday qualifiers message, but you gotta lean into your journeyman, your Monday qualifier guys, the meritocracy in golf again. You really have to earn it, and that you should deserve to be there. I would have liked to see him, to be honest. They could have gone the other way and made it 150 guys, get their full status, and maybe the top 75 or top 100, get into the signature events, and the lower 50, don't, or play the Punta Cana or whatever, but figure out a way to make it more inclusive and not a closed shop, because every other sport professionally and league and when you talk about LIV and stuff, like everything else is a closed shop, and God, it made golf great that it wasn't. It just seems like it's starting to lean that way. You hate to see it, and I think that the tour over the last few years has made multiple steps backwards, and I think that LIV and the DP World Tour are taking a big step forward. So we'll see how that affects everything in the long run. But I appreciate you guys listening to my TED Talk, just hearing me ramble while I drive to work for a few minutes. But yeah, I really needed to just talk about the state of the game, and is the PGA Tour lost? Do they have anybody, trying to figure out, what the fans want besides the handful of top players want? Like, I feel like there's a lot of tour guys that aren't really stoked with this decision either. And ever since LIV's came along, PGA Tour has bent over backwards for a lot of people. I mean, you look at Rory, JT, a lot of the tour spokesmen, guys like Brooks, Koepka, DJ, they got a whole ton of crap, for going and taking the money and going to LIV. But people don't realize, Rory, JT, you remember when the whole Whoop thing came out after the, during the pandemic, and everybody's wearing Whoop now, and Rory and JT got paid a big amount between the tour and Whoop to go ahead and we're going to be brand ambassadors this and push this. I mean, it's no mistake, right? The people at the top of the tour game are getting taken care of, just like the top LIV players are. The money's maybe coming from different places, but it's there. It's still 9 figures. It's still big payouts. I mean, trust me, there's a little bit more politics when you get down into it than everybody thinks about. There's a lot more that goes into everything. So yeah, we'll see. It's it's going to be interesting, but I know a lot of the journeymen, the Joel Damons of the world, the guys finishing 120th. I'm sure Joel's not stoked about, wow, there's 25 less spots next year. Like, it's hard enough to finish in the top 125 this year. If I do the same thing this next year, I'm out. I don't find that to be good for the game. I know want to see, 48 player tournaments or 75 player tournaments, whatever these limited event fields. Nobody wants to watch 70 dudes go out and tee it up. Like, there's 144 dudes with a 60% cut for a reason. You can't show up and get paid to play golf every week. That's not how the game was, built. That's not how the professional game has always been. And we're moving more and more towards guaranteed contracts, and it's unfortunate. So, yeah, I'll end it here. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys hanging on, and if you've stayed this long, please like and give me a subscription. See you soon. Like for more daily content.